Are you listening? Damn. Yeah. Yeah.
Another episode of Trash Talk. I'm Damian Hill. With me, as always, TJ O'Connor. Tonight we have Tat the Mean Bean Romero, who just recently opened up an MMA gym before all of this COVID-19 stuff started to happen. But before we get into that, Trash Talk is brought to you again by Valhalla Combat Sports Incorporated, Ink Shrink Tattoo out in New Brighton, Minnesota, Origin Wellness CBD out in Minneapolis, Minnesota, Spartan Martial Arts, the Striking Institute, James Clark Sports Psychology and Hypnosis Therapy, The Fighters, and TJ's mom. How you doing tonight, Tat?
I'm doing pretty good, brother.
Man, that's great to hear. I mean, especially since all of this stuff is going on. Could you tell us a little bit how it has affected you so far while everything shut down, and how excited you are the fact that June 1st you might be able to get back into the swing of things?
Yeah, honestly, other than the gym being closed, I mean, it really hasn't affected me too much. I have a normal job, so I mean, I'm still able to go to work every day, and I'm thankful for that. So, on top of that, I mean, I never really tried to rely on my clients to cover the overhead on the gym. So,
Yeah.
I mean, luckily, I don't have too many clients, so I'm able to make things work on my own right now.
Yeah. Oh, hold on. So basically, you have enough people at the gym that pay you, but you pretty much rent out the space, pay for the equipment, and do all of that stuff yourself. It's just pretty much an investment as of right now.
Yeah, I mean, I took out a loan. I took out a loan to pay for the stuff that I have there, but for the most part, I've budgeted in my normal budget to be able to cover the overhead on my own.
Man,
That's great.
that's a dude. Like, I love when people like have a true passion, because no one's gonna invest in you unless you invest in yourself, and you decided that you wanted to open up a gym, and you took the time out and knew how to budget and figured out all of that stuff, decided that you were going to invest in yourself and get all of that stuff done. That's amazing. I mean, and then have all of this stuff happen, knowing that you can still cover everything on your own, that's got to be comforting.
It's comforting, but the longer this lasts, the harder it's becoming. And I feel for the gyms that's their sole income. So
Yeah.
I mean, it is what it is right now.
Yeah, and being able to adjust to the situation, almost like, the metaphor rolling with the punches, being able to know that, as of right now, everything's afloat, but obviously the longer this goes, the tougher this gets. Just stepping back a little bit here for the fans of the show. Now, I think it's an understatement to say that if you're a fan of Minnesota MMA and you don't know who Tat Romero is, you should move from under that rock and get internet. One of the OGs of the sport. What made you transition, and what was the thought process? Was it always a plan to transition in from fighting to opening up a gym up north, in your home area?
Well, I mean, I've always wanted to open up a gym. I just wasn't sure I was intelligent enough to make it happen. But it's kind of worked itself out. I was kind of forced out of my old gym, so I really didn't have anywhere else to go. So making the transition into a full jiu-jitsu gym and MMA gym kind of blindsided me. I originally just wanted to work with kids and help with like anti-bullying program, and I really wanted to open it for the community more so instead of myself, if that makes any kind of sense. But then some stuff happened, and turns out I'm able to offer jiu-jitsu now. So the ball was rolling once we once we got caught up there. But I'm hoping as soon as we get clearance, the jiu-jitsu gym will the jiu-jitsu aspect of it will take off, and got some exciting stuff working with Brock Larson now. So everything's gonna come together.
That's awesome. And I know Damien has a question. I'm pulling his move, and I'm going to jump in quick. I just before I forget, I don't want to bury the lead. For the fans of the show, can you give them the name of the gym, where it's at, so that way when this is done, they can come learn some of that jiu-jitsu?
Yeah, it's Mashkalzi Academy. Mashkalzi is a Ojibwe for inner strength.
Nice.
So, right up here in Virginia, Minnesota, in the heart of the Iron Range. So
you didn't move at all to open up the gym, did you?
no, no. I've always been up here. I've been up here on the range for about almost 20 years now.
Yeah, that's kind of what I'm getting to, because it's nice to hear that you opened up a gym right at home, because I've actually heard you speak about it in a previous interview, how far you've actually had to travel to get a lot of the good training in yourself, and having to follow up training. But with all of that knowledge behind you, and now opening up a gym in your hometown, do you feel like you're going to provide opportunities that you didn't necessarily have for these other local guys in your neighborhood?
Yeah, I would really like to think so. I mean, a few years ago, I coached wrestling for the first time, and man, I fell in love with it. And there's no better feeling than to experiencing some tough athletes and reliving your old glory days at the same time.
Yeah.
So I just started coaching not too long ago. Noah Hawkins. He's going to be an up and coming little animal. So I'm hoping that he keeps his head on his shoulders, that we're able to make a bright future for him.
Yeah. Is he the 135 or 45 pound champion for North Star Combat?
145.
Yeah, 45.
45. Yes. He's already kind of made a stamp on it.
A lot of experience, really young, and to hear that he's working with you now, I mean, that's a big scoop.
I appreciate that. Yeah, I love sparring with the kid. He's scrappy. He's just got a lot of raw, natural talent, and I like that.
Yeah. Okay, so give us a little bit of background on your martial arts experience, fight, and all of that. Because as TJ said before, if you guys have been living under a rock in Minnesota MMA, don't know who Tad Romero is, look him up after this interview is done, and you will see. But could you walk us through your MMA path, how you met up with Brock? Have you been with Brock this whole time?
Actually, I think I had my first fight in 2001 or 2002. I can't remember. Yeah, it's been a ride ever since. I think my first sanctioned fight, or I guess it really wasn't even sanctioned, but first recognized fight in Minnesota was 2004.
Yeah.
And I was fighting for Travis Fulton's promotion. He was coming up and putting on some shows up here. I was just laughing because I won a belt for him. I think it was like North Star Fighting Association or something like that. I can't remember, but I still got the belt. It's one of them ribbon belts.
That's awesome, and I always love asking this question, because obviously nowadays the popularity of the sport, asking someone, how did you get into MMA? It's, I see how this UFC fight, I did this, I did that. In 2001, there was no big money. This wasn't the ESPN show. What was your first introduction to? At that point, I guess it was still no holds barred, just switching to MMA, and what made you get that first fight?
It definitely wasn't the fucking money. I think it was $50 to show and $50 if I won, something like that. I can't remember. But man, I enjoyed beating people up. It, I mean, that's why I wanted to fight, because I enjoyed it, and I got into a lot of trouble as a younger kid, and ended up getting locked up for quite a while because I like to fight, and I just fell into something that I could get away with doing, something that I normally wouldn't be able to, and I call it, feeding my demons.
Man, that's one of the things that I feel like a lot of fighters have approached the game with is basically a way to release their anger or at least direct their frustration. And I mean, make it an art instead of just a criminal charge.
Yep.
I mean, and it's nice to see that you opened up your own gym, especially with all of these experiences. I mean, I guess I was gonna ask you to go over all of the promotions, but it's pretty much.
And it wasn't until like towards the end of my career that
Yeah,
I really started going, because I got sick of wanting to go to down in the cities, because me and Bjornberg had our beef for a while, and so I mean he kind of cornered the market down there, so it was either King of the Cage or North Dakota, and then North Dakota kind of went dark for a while with MMA.
yeah. So was that the time where you had took time away from the game? Because I can't remember how long of a layoff you had, but you had announced your retirement at a point in time.
Yeah, well, I retired after my loss to Ben Smith.
Oh,
And then the next morning,
yeah.
my little brother passed away and stuff, and then I retired from there.
I'm sorry to hear. I actually didn't know that. I was laughing because I thought you were gonna say I woke up the next morning and decided to come out of retirement.
No.
Sorry.
So yeah, I retired that next day, and just reevaluated my career. I think I was out for like 8 months.
Yeah, and you talk about reevaluating. I mean, since that point in time, you've beat everybody you fought, and obviously the changes you were able to make. Take the proper time to mourn the situation and make that adjustment. When did you decide that you weren't ready? You weren't ready to be done, and you still had some scrap left in you?
I actually went. One of my best friends, Eli Finn, tough ass fighter from Cass Lake. He invited me over for a sweat, and we did a sweat. And I can remember during that sweat, I started having these visualizations of me fighting again, and it just kind of stuck with me. I remember leaning over to Eli and telling him, "I ain't ready to be done yet." He goes, "Yeah, I know you're not." So,
Man.
yeah, that's when I changed my music from the Halloween anthem to the war drums.
You never shied away from your Mexican Native American heritage. I mean, nickname Mean Bean. Tell us a little bit of that, how that played a factor into the theme of the fight.
What was that again?
How did your Native American and Mexican heritage play as a factor into the theme of your fight career?
I've always been, really into my Mexican heritage, and that's kind of where the name came from, obviously. And so I've always kind of went with that aspect of it, and some former managers in my ear trying to tell me how I'm more marketable being a Mexican than a Native American, and so I mean, then after talking to some relatives and telling me I need to take more pride in both cultures, not just one, and that's kind of when it kind of hit me, not only in the cage or in my fighting career, but in my life. So.
Yeah. Man, see, that's one of the things that I love about the aspect of fighters taking over as coaches? Because that's something that I feel like you're going to be able to pass down to one of your next fighters that are under you, or anybody who's do that same thing where like, hey, the manager's telling you this, but hey, you got pride and you got people too. I mean, don't sell yourself out just to get something
Mhm.
back. I mean, that was a prime example of that, and yeah, I loved hearing that story.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I love it, and just putting the stamp on it as well. I mean, throughout fighting culture, you know about the Mexican mentality, and you know that when you're fighting a Mexican fighter, you're to expect a gritty, just tough fight. So I feel like that in itself, it implies and lets your opponent know what the hell to expect when the bell rings.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, I guess getting back to the coaching aspect and everything, when you finally did decide to start coaching, what made you want to open up your own gym instead of just finding another gym to start coaching? Because that's not a move a lot of guys are willing to make.
Well, I know when I retired the last time, uh, I just wanted to find a way to keep it close to me. And I know that if I ain't training for a fight, it's probably chances are I'm not going to be training. So, I mean, one way to keep me training is to get my own gym and to bring fighters to me, and I'll train them. So that was a way for me to stay in shape, feed the demons, and pass on my knowledge at the same time.
Man,
Man,
that was simple and perfect.
yeah.
That was, man, I loved it. And I mean, so when everything gets back into the swing of things, do you have, I mean, besides Noah, do you have any active fighters, or uh, are you just looking to have active competitors until people start to, hey, maybe I should step in the cage?
Uh, well, right now it's just Noah and one other guy.
Yeah.
Uh, so I am working on where I have a female too. So we have some work to do, but I mean she's been busting her ass for a while. So hopefully we'll find her something down the road.
No, I mean, man, I've had an amazing time talking with you tonight.
Yeah.
This is, I mean, we're definitely gonna have to talk again, especially as the gym grows and once the quarantine does end, because there's still so much more of your fight. Where there's 20 years worth of fights that have gone on, and we've only been talking for about 20 minutes now. I feel like we still gonna have to talk to you again just to get a little bit more in depth and pass on some of the knowledge that you've acquired throughout all of these years of your fighting. Because I'm
Yeah, man, we'll do it again. I got a lot of shit we could talk about.
before we do wrap it up, we always love to give a platform to the people that we're interviewing, the fighters, the coaches, to shout out any sponsors, teammates, family members, anybody that's showing you any support as of right now, especially during this quarantine situation. Any messages that you'd have for any of the young fighters trying to keep their training going?
Well, shout out to my sponsors, War Trap Gear and a Native American Fighter. They've always stuck with me even after I retired. You know, we're still working on some big things with Native American Fighter. So make sure you go hit him up, man. He's doing big things in the shop.
Oh yeah, I mean that's amazing. I can't wait to hear what's next with you guys. And then I again always appreciative of the time that the fighters and coaches take with us. We are nothing without the fighters. People watching, like this video, subscribe to
There's some big things coming out of Muscogee Academy. I mean, as I mentioned before, man, I have almost little to no overhead, which allows me to charge bottom dollar prices. And with me going under Brock, I mean, it's some big things coming. So I'm excied about it.
Yeah, so are we. Be sure to stay on the lookout, and when there's updates, be sure to reach back out to us. Fans, you heard it right. I'm always going to repeat it. Don't be a hoe.
Later, brother.